Well, hi, I'm Robert Knoll. We're doing Adventure in seventh chords. There's three families of seventh chords: the dominant family, the minor family, and the major family. This video's on the minor family. We're dealing with open seventh chords built from the minor scale. So in the Trinity, we have chord, scale, arpeggio. You've got to realize that your scales are important, arpeggios are important to understand chords, to understand not only the note names and C, but you need to know the intervals. When we start examining the form 1 A minor scale, you want to be able to say the note names and know the note names, and you want to be able to know the intervals, be able to count them. So depending on where you're at, if you're a beginner, you're intermediate, advanced, I'm doing a form 1 pure minor scale. So when I start with A, I go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And then it would start over again, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. That's also counted as intervals, as 1, major second, minor third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, minor sixth, dominant 7 or minor 7, back to root. Major second, minor third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, minor 6, dominant 7, root. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You see the arpeggio, 1 minor third, perfect fifth, 1 minor third, perfect fifth, root. You got your scale, your arpeggios. I got A minor chords here within form 1. A minor chord, and we want to be able to analyze it. Interval wise, you have root 5, root, minor third, fifth. Well, what did I tell you when I played the scale? The 7, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 was G. So G is your 7. So what if I took that third finger off the A? Now I've got an open G in there. So now I don't have two roots. I have A, a perfect fifth, the 7, the minor third, and another perfect fifth. So I've got a lovely A minor 7th chord. I could add the G on the top. That sounds really nice to do. Or I can have in or out. So I can have the other perfect fifth, or I can make that another 7 on the top. I could even keep my third finger down as an A minor chord and just add G. That gives me A minor 7. Now, if I wanted to get really tricky, I would look at where else could I put other intervals? Well, we know C is a minor third in this A minor chord. What if I took the low open A and made that a C? Wow, that sounds really cool. And I said G was the dominant 7 or minor 7. Wow, that nice big fat 7. Yes, minor 7 or dominant 7 in the bass now. And then open E was the 5th. If I played all 6 strings of the A minor chord, I can add 7 here. I can have an open G as a 7. And I can also realize that add a G in the bottom, which gives me 3 7s in this A minor 7. Almost looks like a G chord, but it's an A minor 7. So I've done a lot of things. If I was playing bass lines and just jamming, I add the C in there, and C is relative to A minor. You got to know that. If you played a C scale and you went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the major 6 is A. The relative minor of the key of C is A minor. And if we went from A and we went 1, 2, 3, 1 major second, minor third, the minor third of A minor is C. It gives me the relative major. C chord and an A minor chord, they're relative to one another. They have the same notes. The intervals are in different orders. Okay, and you have C, you have a major third. And the A minor relative, you have the minor third. Can they be substituted for one another? Sure, try it. A lot of learning to do with learning to use the relative minor or the relative major. Anyways, back to jamming. I was going to just do A minor, add that C. How about the 7 in the bass? How about the E, the 5th? A, E 5th, 3rd, root, and then C was the 7. So see all the stuff I'm doing with this A minor 7? Crazy. I took one chord and I took the shape of this chord, but by understanding a little bit about scales and intervals and note names, I was able to go, wow, I can do a lot of things around this shape. Now, when I go to the D minor 7 shape, you may know a D chord or a D minor chord, but to take that minor chord and make it a 7, well, we've got the D, you've got A, which would be your 5th, you got a root, right? And then your minor 3rd is F. So if we take that minor 3rd, F is the relative major also, you say. And we need to get a 7, so the 7 of D, if I played a D minor scale, I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a C note. So if I take my D, open D, A, C, and have it barred for the F, F, C, A, open D, that's D minor 7. So you've got a D chord, you got a major 7, you got a D7, and now you know a D minor 7. Where the intervals are in this chord is important. Open D, perfect 5th, right? The 7, and then F, the minor 3rd. So if I know that, I could add an F here. Another minor 3rd. Bass with my thumb. Looks like an F chord, doesn't it? Well, it is. Well, what if I add another C? There's another 7, D minor 7. It's still D minor 7. So there's a lot we can do with that little D minor 7. What about an E minor 7? Let's look at an E minor scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So if I count that and I go 1, 2, 3 in the key of E, E is my root, G, E, F sharp, G is my minor 3rd. So that's what's making the E minor, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My 5 is the B, so I got a perfect 5th. E, perfect 5th, E, G, my minor 3rd, open G, another B, another perfect 5th, and a root, E minor. Well, what's the 7? E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D. So if I add a D, E minor 7. So there's that traditional open position E minor 7. But also, let's look at the basics of this. What if I just took open D and I said G was the minor 3rd, B was a perfect 5th, and then E is the root. D is the minor 7. 4 strings. You play your open 4 strings, D, G, B, E, that's an E minor 7. D is the minor 7, G is the minor 3rd, B is the perfect 5th, and E is the root. You want to build around that? Add another E. Or just add a B and keep the D, open D in there. All 6 strings with just a B, E minor 7. Add a D at any time, in or out. That's adding a 7. I could put the double E, so now I've got 3 E's in here instead of 2 minor 7s. Could I get crazy and add the G, the minor 3rd in the bass? Sure. And I could take off my 3rd finger, so I would have the open D, which gives me the minor 7. So I have minor 3rd. Very unique E minor 7 with the minor 3rd in the bass. what's relative to E minor? Well, if I go 1, 2, major second, minor third, it's G. So if I play a G chord, that's relative to E minor. So when you played A minor, C was relative. When you played D minor 7, F was relative, or F major 7, or an F bar chord. When you play E minor, the relative major is G. How cool. So you're getting some ideas for different chords could be happening. We started off with just 3 chords, A minor 7, D minor 7, and E minor 7. But I'm taking the chord shapes and I'm looking at what other intervals are possible. I've got to hold the basic form down. I have to know I have a root, a minor third, a perfect fifth, and they can be in any order because those are called inversions. But I'm adding a 7 because I want to learn how to make 7th chords. We know there's all kinds of chords. There's 9th chords, there's altered chords, flat 9s, plus 9s, minus 9s, plus 5s, augmented chords, diminished chords, all kinds of chords. But we're specializing in trying to understand how to take basic triads and inversions and make 7th chords in the minor. So dealing with a minor blues progression, the A minor 7, you're going to be going 1, 2, 3, 4. Then a second measure, you might add a different 7 in there. A minor third measure, then the 4th measure, maybe you put the 7 in the bass. Then you go to your D minor 7. Another measure, add the 7, take it out, and back to A minor 7. Now we finally get to the E minor 7, add the 7, and then you're going to your D minor 7, and then A minor 7, 3, and then we end with an E minor 7. That was a traditional turnaround. I did the A minor 7, D minor 7, A minor 7, E minor 7. I could go on and on with developing this and looking for alternate chords, alternate voicings. When you start to learn about inversions, we're looking at different voicings as important. Also, when I'm playing rhythm, I'm working on phrasing my rhythms. Now, I played a very 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 in rhythm, but I could develop that. I could get phrasing these chords and adding 7s, taking out 7s, doubling the fifths, putting the 7s in the bass, on the D, on the E. I can do all these things with those 4 intervals. The 4 intervals, once again, root, minor third, perfect fifth, and the 7, the dominant 7, or minor 7 we call it. It's a flatted major 7. To make it even more interesting, I might start my 12-bar blues off and hit that A minor 7. 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then my D minor 7, 3, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 1. Interesting bass lines. I'm making that basic strumming of 3 A minor 7s. I'm doing stuff with that A minor 7, that D minor 7, and E minor 7 because I know the intervals. I know the note names. if you're not intermediate, you may be a little overwhelmed by this, but once you learn your Form 1 scale and you learn other forms of your minor scales, and you learn your majors and dominant and all these other great scales, blues scales, augmented and diminished, it starts to make sense because we have that trinity that's so important. The way I teach is that we have chord, scale, arpeggio. That's the trinity. You can say it either way you want. Arpeggio, chord, scale. Arpeggio, scale, chord, they all go together. That makes the trinity. It brings it all together. It's like the religious thing of guitar philosophy, all right? So what's really cool is I can develop, once I know the scales, I can know the intervals and the note names, and now I can be so much more creative because I know what note that G note, wherever I put it, is the 7. I can have it open, I can have it here, I can have it here, and I know the minor third that's making it minor. The D minor, I know where the 7s are. And I know F is the minor third. And the E minor, I know the 5th is B. I know the D. 4 notes or open strings, that's E minor 7, right? Lots of variations. Put the G in the bottom. The relative major is G. A minor, C, A minor, C, relatives, F, D minor, F, A minor, C, A minor, C. E minor, G, D minor, F, A minor, C, A minor, E minor, G. So you hear how I use the relative major minor thing? Usually most of my students have gotten really good with their basic training in basic shuffle, basic blues shuffle, 12-bar blues shuffle. And it's done with the A and the perfect 5th hitting open strings. We first learn it this way. And your third finger is traveling to the 4th fret, which is F sharp. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's your major 6. So you're dealing with your root and perfect 5th and major 6. So this is 5, 6, E to F sharp. When we go to D and A, that's the D and the 5th of D, going to the 6, which is the B. Back to A. And then when you get into your 12-bar shuffle, that E comes in there. You got E and B, and you're going to C sharp. Well, E and B is root, perfect 5th, and major 6. And then we usually did a basic turnaround, A to D, A to E. A is our 1 chord. D is always considered the 4 chord because it's built on the 4th degree of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, whether it's minor or major. 1, 2, 3, 4 is D. A, B, C, sharp, D. And then our 5, A, B, C, D, E, is E. E7 or E minor, whatever key we're in. So the 1, 4, 5 chord, that's what this whole lesson's been about. Your A, your D, your E. They can either be dominant chords, they could be major chords, or in the case of this adventure, we're dealing with the minor chords, the 1, 4, 5 minor. If I was to do a minor shuffle, what could I do? Could I come up with something? How about if I did the root and the minor 6? Instead of the major 6, I go to a minor 6 from the minor scale. The minor scale being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 is the minor, which is F. Listen to this. Wow, that's kind of strange, kind of sad and weird. Whoa. A little sick, maybe. That sounds a lot different than the major. dark side. A little spooky there. Instead of using the sixes, the minor six or the major six for the major, what if I did something really crazy? And instead of having, I got A and the perfect fifth, what if I went and hit a minor third with the perfect fifth? And I did something like this, a minor shuffle. Minor third. F. On the D, the A is C, relative. The D, what's relative? It's F. F is the relative major. C is the relative major of A minor. When I go to E, G is the relative major. D, F. A is C. B is F. A is C. Wow. And then D. What if I did D? What if I put that minor six? Time I mixed up putting the minor third and the six on each one of those shuffles. Wow. Wow, there's some new areas for blues players. Something to consider in all chords, even if you were doing bar chords. You know, instead of having that major third, what if minor third? A lot of possibility. It all is about learning your intervals. That's why scales are so important. In my method, I have 5 scale forms for major, pure minor, dominant, major blues, minor blues. From there, we know we have the pentatonic scales, major and minor and major blues scales. Important to know both. And I have videos on all this stuff. You just have to search. Beyond that, you have your augmented scales and your diminished scales and videos on these. Once you start learning scales, it takes time. You have to not get frustrated, but you have to take your time learning it. Once you start getting into it and start going, well, you start making discoveries on these adventures of scales. And then you start putting arpeggios along with the scale. And then along with the scale and the arpeggio comes the chords. What chords are with that fall into that same area and form? Then the trinity comes together. Then your understanding of the landscape, geography, and intervals. Then you know what notes to bend, which ones to pull, which ones to add and bass, which ones to add and take out of chords. Then you start becoming creative. And that's what I'm trying to teach. If this lesson is a little bit overwhelming for you, go back to some of my basic videos. You want to visit those and build up to this one and keep visiting this one. If this is intermediate for you, well, work with this. You got some ideas. I gave you a lot of ideas with intervals just in the open position. I haven't even got to teaching you the other positions yet, but I wanted to stress knowing intervals and taking the shapes of those 3 chords, the 1 chord, 4 chord, and 5 chord, and doing something with them, creating. You've got 4 intervals to deal with. The root, the minor third, the perfect fifth, and the 7. We call it a dominant 7 or a minor 7. It means the same thing. It's the major 7 flatted. Well, that's my lesson for this time. I hope you'll subscribe. It's really important. It helps me if you subscribe, if you give me a comment, if you watch the next video after that, this one, it helps. And it's good for the monetization if I can ever get there with enough subscribers on my YouTube. But then I have a place called the Guitar Zone. It's at my Patreon. That's where my guitar family resides. And you can join in and subscribe at a certain tier that you can afford. And then you can have private lessons with me. You can have personal contact with me. And well, you can do that anyway. So, you can always email me and I'll try to get back to you, okay? There's so many videos on my Guitar Zone. There's hundreds and hundreds of videos and charts and all kinds of talks and lectures. And there's quite a lot here on the YouTube also to explore. But we have a more personalized family when you join at Patreon. Then you're in my family, okay? You can do me a big favor by hitting the subscribe, hitting the like button. That really helps a lot too. And maybe even going over to my Guitar Zone and looking around over there, and maybe you'll join and say, hey, I'm here with you, And I would love that. I would love to be able to give you personal lessons and see what you're playing and analyze what you're doing so far and see where we can take it from there, okay? And get even more. Okay, well, Robert Noel saying bye for this lesson. I wish you all the best, and thanks for supporting me.